Hive Fleet Kronos is a Tyranid hive fleet that first appeared within the galaxy shortly after the formation of the colossal warp rift known as the Cicatrix Maledictum. Of all the various hive fleets, Kronos is undoubtedly one of the most unique, due to the specialist role that its bioforms have evolved to fulfill. While each of the various hive fleets will demonstrate their own unique traits and characteristics, such as the toxic spores produced by the organisms of Hive Fleet Gorgon, or the diamond-hard exoskeletons displayed by Hive Fleet Tiamat, the creatures of Hive Fleet Kronos appear to have been bred for the sole purpose of combating against the powers of chaos. Indeed, following the creation of the Great Rift, the energies of the warp will begin to permeate throughout the material realm at an exponential rate, making it easier for demonic entities to not only manifest within real space, but maintain their physical forms for lengthier periods of time. This in turn has also resulted in hundreds of worlds being consumed by the Great Rift, denying the Hive Fleets a significant number of potential resources. Despite assuming a corporeal form when materializing into real space, it is commonly believed that demons are incapable of providing any form of sustenance for the Great Devourer, meaning that the Tyranids would have nothing to gain from coming into conflict with such entities. Prior to the Rift's creation, the Tyranids would, more often than not, attempt to avoid any potential encounters with demons whenever possible, although this would nonetheless prove unavoidable on certain occasions. However, with the formation of the Great Rift, encounters with demonic entities and other such creatures that have been corrupted by the powers of chaos have proven to be increasingly inevitable, and so in order to counteract this threat, the Tyranids would give rise to Hive Fleet Kronos. To aid in their battles against the servants of the Ruinous Powers, the bioforms of Kronos will typically engage their foes from a distance, and have even developed a number of unique biomorphs, such as the Balethorn Cannon, that have proven to be devastatingly effective against the denizens of the warp. In addition, Kronos is known to demonstrate an unusually strong connection to the shadow in the warp, the psychic white noise generated by the hive mind's constant psychic communication with lesser Tyranid organisms. Indeed, Kronos' link with the shadow in the warp is so intense that it not only causes intense physical pain to non-Tyranid psykers that are exposed to it, but the Hive Fleet is even somehow able to augment its bioforms by draining all nearby psychically sensitive beings of their spiritual energies. So specialized has Kronos become in hunting down those that have been tainted by chaos, that the Hive Fleet will seek to converge upon sites of intense psychic activity before laying waste to all worlds that have been conquered by the servants of chaos in order to prevent the fabric of reality from being further rent asunder. While Kronos may have been bred for the sole purpose of combating against the servants of the Ruinous Powers, an important question remains concerning the Hive Fleets and their relationship with chaos as a whole. Is it possible for the Tyranids to fall victim to chaotic corruption? Initially, such an idea would appear to be utterly impossible due to the presence of the hive mind, the aggregate consciousness that guides the actions of all Tyranid bioforms under its sway. As detailed within the 8th edition Tyranid Codex, the hive mind itself is not only unaffected by emotional sensations such as fear and terror, but it is also said to be utterly immune to demonic corruption. However, it is important to clarify that this immunity to demonic corruption extends directly to the hive mind itself, not to the various organisms that make up a Hive Fleet tendril. It should also be noted that it is indeed possible for individual bioforms to become separated from the hive mind, either by design or by accident. In order to exert its control over the various bioforms that comprise a Hive Fleet tendril, the hive mind will make use of a number of specialist organisms known as synapse creatures. These synapse creatures, which include organisms such as hive tyrants, tervigons, and zoanthropes, are essentially living conduits of the hive mind's will, guiding the actions of lesser organisms such as termagants or hormagaunts in a manner similar to that of battlefield officers. However, should these synapse creatures be slain or otherwise become separated from their charges, then many of the lesser bioforms under their command, though by no means all, will simply revert to their baser instincts. For example, termagants, biophores, and gargoyles will instinctively seek shelter in order to avoid danger, engaging the enemy only in self-defense. By contrast, hormagaunts and Tyrant Guard will undergo a type of feeding frenzy, attacking anything within their path in order to consume it. As such, should such creatures become separated from the hive mind's influence, then it's perfectly reasonable to assume that they can, at least theoretically, become corrupted by the energies of chaos, even if only in a way similar to how a common animal, such as a dog or a horse, can. After all, there are a number of different life forms that exist within the galaxy, such as the Shade Maulers from the world of Malignia, or the Frost Worms from the Gates of Moment, which are, at the very least, suspected to bear the taint of chaos in some form. But is there anything to further support the notion of Tyranid bioforms, specifically, becoming corrupted by the powers of chaos? Surprisingly, yes. The organisms known as gene stealers, both pure strain and hybrids alike, have been documented as succumbing to chaotic corruption on a number of different occasions. One such example, as detailed within the 8th edition Gene Stealer Cult Codex, is that of the cult Tenebrous. As the cult made their journey through the void, seeking to spread their influence to yet another world, their ship will be dragged into the depths of warp space before inexplicably materializing within the Garden of Nurgle, the chaos god of pestilence and decay. After bearing witness to what Nurgle deemed to be the true horrors of parasitism and infection, the cult would devote themselves to their new patron deity. Another example is shown within Necromunda, the Book of Ruin, which details an unnamed Gene Stealer cult that had pledged themselves to the Chaos Gods, although how the cult managed to do so remains unknown to Imperial authorities. This pledge of devotion to one or more of the Ruinous Powers is not solely limited to the more human members of a Gene Stealer cult, as the cult's patriarch, the Alpha Gene Stealer that originally founded the cult, can also become, for lack of a better term, a champion of chaos. Those patriarchs that dedicate themselves to the Chaos Gods, which become known as Gene Stealer Oracles, can even become symbiotically possessed by demonic entities, granting them an anchor point within the material realm in exchange for bestowing the Gene Stealer with greater power and the blessings of their patron god. What makes the notion of Chaos Gene Stealer cults particularly interesting is that Gene Stealer cults are known to display their own miniature version of the hive mind, which is known more commonly as the brood mind. The brood mind effectively allows a Gene Stealer patriarch to psychically exert its influence over the other members of its cult, be they pure strain, hybrid, or brood brother. However, should an approaching Hive Fleet tendril come within close proximity of a world that a cult is operating upon, then a Gene Stealer's connection with the brood mind will be overruled by the indomitable will of the hive mind. While the hive mind supposedly grants Tyranid bioforms an immunity to chaotic corruption, the brood mind by contrast offers no such protection. This in turn would appear to suggest that other types of vanguard organisms, such as lictors, could also potentially become corrupted by the powers of chaos due to their autonomy and prolonged periods of separation from the hive mind. In addition, it is not just Gene Stealers that have been shown to be susceptible to the taint of chaos, as other Tyranid organisms have also been documented as being corrupted by its energies, or at the very least, partially. Within the novel Storm of Iron, a bioship is shown to be under the control of an Iron Warriors Traitor Legion warband being utilized by the Astartes as a transport vessel. To bring the gargantuan creature under their control, the Iron Warriors would sever the bioship's connection to the hive mind by infecting its neural pathways with the obliterator virus. Despite the bioship attempting to fight off this infection, the warband sorcerers would use their psychic abilities to whittle down the ship's mental barriers, causing the creature to eventually succumb to the virus. However, whether such an example can truly be counted as a Tyranid bioform falling to chaos is, admittedly, somewhat debatable. A similar such outbreak of viral corruption is documented within the novel Ragnar's Claw. When warriors from the Space Wolves chapter of the Adeptus Astartes attempted to recover a fragment of an ancient artifact known as the Talisman of Lycos from a Tyranid-infested Space Hulk, they would discover that both the Hulk itself, as well as the various organisms on board, appeared to have been afflicted with some unnatural contagion. This plague, whatever it truly was shown to affect multiple bioform strains, including Gene Stealers, Tyranid Warriors, and Termagants. the Space Wolf Ragnar Blackmane would know that the overall aura of sickness and corruption permeating throughout the Hulk was reminiscent of that displayed by the followers of Nurgle, and that prior to this particular encounter, there had been no documented accounts within Imperial records of the Tyranids ever succumbing to disease, making it appear as if some dreadful power was indeed at work. Ragnar would even go on to speculate that there may have been some sort of connection between the unnatural sickness displayed by the Tyranids and a virulent plague that had been ravaging the Hive world of Erius, which in itself was linked to a demon of Nurgle named Botulus. However, the Space Wolf would also go on to admit that there were many gaps within the Imperium's archives regarding the Hive fleets, and that little was truly known with any degree of certainty regarding these particular Xenos. But again, whether this particular incident can be truly regarded as the Tyranids succumbing to chaotic corruption, or if they had simply fallen victim to one of Nurgle's creations, is once again debatable. Ultimately, it would indeed appear that, at the very least, certain kinds of Tyranid organisms can indeed fall to chaos, providing that they are not shielded from such energies by both the shadow in the warp and the guiding will of the Hive mind. However, should the Cicatrix Maledictum continue to grow and allow the energies of the warp to bleed into the material universe in even greater quantities, then perhaps, one day, the powers of chaos may grow so strong that not even the Hive mind can prevent one of its many tendrils from falling under the sway of the Chaos Gods. Thankfully, however, it seems improbable that such a situation could ever occur, although admittedly, it is not impossible. What do you think? Leave a comment below, and thanks for watching.